Hello and welcome to seasonal impressions for fall 2023 and winter 2024. I missed fall 2023 because I was busy and I didn't have the time to do it. So, new year, and this is the first anime related content we are getting this year, so it's going to be a rather long one considering I'm doing two seasons in full. But I've updated my criteria for seasonal impressions, not necessarily in any of like the main points, but how I define them to you guys is how I'm changing it. So it's still going to be the three things, but it's going to be more well defined. So here's what I look for in all of these shows. Number one is characters. When we watch a show, it's not always going to feature a straight up character in human or adjacent creature form. It's sometimes less apparent in the world as a character sometimes. But for the most part, it's all about perspective. Who's giving me the food to chew on? And to that end, I care about the basics. If I am going to care about this piece of art, I have to believe in the people running the joint. And if they have something I'm interested in, really. Every show is different. I'm not filling out a checklist, but characters are usually how these stories are told. Number two, visuals. The clarity of the art given to me is something that I find essential to understand the piece in question. If I can't understand what I'm watching, I don't necessarily feel like it's the artist's job to sacrifice their vision so I can see it more clearly, but having me do the legwork to get to the point they're at isn't ideal as well. So, shows that find an ideal middle ground in stylistic and simple visual storytelling make me the most happy. Sometimes it can become completely abstract and flat, and you never know. It could be more interesting that way. But in general, it's a visual medium, ergo, you have to have strong visual presentation for me to care. And the third and most final, or I guess most important point, is entertainment value. Over time, the value of enjoying a product has changed for me, but Reggie's mantra never fails: if it's not fun, why bother? If I'm not having fun, sometimes it's not my fault, and sometimes it is. If I watch a really depressing product, it's not it doesn't seem impossible for me to have fun, but there is entertainment value even in something like that. There are different levels of fun that still equate entertainment. And where I come from, it's just the love of consuming and talking about art because, well, art is just people talking back at me in a much more expressionistic form, and it's not the duty of the artist I critique to entertain me, but if they do so in the process of sharing their work, it's a double win for everyone. And here's just the general disclaimer now about seasonal impressions. Sometimes you will see me break down the art with complexity, and sometimes you'll see me just give a short or frustrated approach with simpler language. Know that I come from a good place of passion for the art I consume. That's it. So that's the criteria that I look for now, or more well defined in these seasonal impressions. So let's begin. Here we go. Boukensha ni Naritai to Miyako ni Deteitta Musume ga S rank ni Natteta. My daughter left the nest and returned an S rank adventurer. Typhoon Graphics. I believe I've dropped every single show from this studio, but unfortunate. 4 minute drop. Some of the art looks nice, and other times it looks pretty substandard. The characters at least look competent, but the fantasy element isn't exactly visually entertaining or interesting. Was pretty bored, but at least there's no exposition or anything too majorly bad. So, simple drop. Sousou no Frieren, Frieren Beyond Journey's End is one of the most culturally important shows at the moment for general viewers and the mainstream, I should say. It has a lot of pull, as it seems to have captured the cultural zeitgeist of fans across this site, apparently, having it ranked at number one for quite a while now. It After a whole season has passed, it's still holding the number one rank, which makes me think that by the end of its run, which it's nearing the end of its run very soon, can actually probably stay at the top 10 as long as it doesn't fumble the bag with at least general viewers. So to me, this is like one of the first culturally important shows that I think that I've experienced like in live time while being like super, I don't want to say super, but sort of in this sphere of anime. Uh, I think some of the other spheres that also have reached similar peaks, but not like mainstream, um, I've seen, but this one is like a rare case where it's like sat at the number one spot for quite a while now, and it's not like a troll pick or anything like that. It's like a genuine, like serious project. So Studio Madhouse, obviously, big fan of Studio Madhouse. Not as much anymore. Haven't kept up with any of their projects really. But this show has definitely some amount of merit compared to previous works, I think. I've seen two episodes. The first episode I saw back in fall 2023 as well. Second episode I just saw recently. So my takes here are months apart really, but they both are similar in message, I think, because I'm still on the fence here. So episode 1, I'm not blown away by this first episode, even though a lot of the stuff is commendable. Production value looks for the most part pretty solid. Background art isn't the most complex and interesting stuff I've ever seen, but it works. What most people care about is the character designs, and as some of you know, I'm not the biggest fan of these whisper characters. Our main character, Frieren, is one of these characters, rather emotionless and keeps to herself type character, decent facial animation, and she gets a lot of time in the spotlight. The introductory cast around her is pretty basic. I wish they gave their designs a bit more love, especially the dwarven character, who after a time skip of 50 years looks like pretty much the same guy, even though he's an old man. The one that pretty much only looks like he's actually aged 50 years is the blue twink, and for all the dramatic flashbacks Frieren has at his death, his departure wasn't that empathetic, or emphatic, I should say, or heart-wrenching. I get it. It's not easy to gut punch you straight off the bat with no context, but they only did an okay job at giving him his fair share of the spotlight to get to that point. As for the actual concept for the show, pretty basic, high fantasy, finding humanity, drama. There isn't a particular siren blaring moment that's like, yep, this is my smoking gun for a great show. But, it's the first episode, it's fine for now. Mushoku Tensei did the same thing, slow burn, but I think it did it better as a first episode as well. So it's not surprising to me what they're going for here. They complement all of this with this large scale orchestral score to give you that Lord of the Rings type thing. And for the most part, it did build a good atmosphere, even though at some points I think it is a bit tacky. But by far, my biggest gripe with the show is that it really lacks that stylization and that boom in the visual department that makes you go like, wow. Um, Even a short Sakuga moment could have helped or something. Visually, the show looks simple, despite how quality it seems to look. Others in the fantasy genre have done a lot to sit with the current aesthetic that seems to be all the more common, and I only wish we had a more powerful visual presentation here. I'm not asking for like dark fantasy, Berserk 1997, Shitiro Kobayashi type thing, but it wouldn't really kill us to look different from the competitors, especially if you're going to dump a lot of money into this thing. I think it's reasonable to ask that. The general feeling of this show reminds me of this one project I saw, To Your Eternity, that I dropped in 2021. Similar emotions, similar simplicity to the storytelling. Aside from that, I think what we have here is a competent show, but a real lack of bite. Hopefully, in the next episode, there is something more interesting to digest. And unfortunately, I have also dropped everything that Keiichiro Saito has ever directed, so good luck. So this next episode I watched months later. Episode 2, the production quality is noticeable in a lot of subtle ways, but I think the lack of style is still hurting the show, especially because I think the film grain doesn't help with the atmosphere at all, considering this isn't a dirty or gritty show. It softens the lighting, sure, but it doesn't offer anything I necessarily care about. As for the writing, it's a bit on the nose, especially with the whole Fern subplot spawning from ideals of death being pretty uninteresting to me. In terms of characterization that way, I don't think I care about any of her goals as like a separate character from Frieren. And that's just like the strict character beat they want to push. On the more subtextual side, they do several montages, which don't actually do a lot for me other than buy screen time. I get that we're seeing a more slow-paced show, but I don't really see the necessity in all these montages that they actually don't pack a lot of development into them. Think Evangelion episode 9 for like one that packs a lot of information. Does Fern actually get to complete her training? Yes. And they do sort of a montage, but they don't give you that on-screen satisfaction of her completing her training. They just do a bunch of random like slice of life clips, and there's just an off-screen satisfaction, I guess. We don't even get to see the spell completion, is what I'm saying. So it's a waste for this montage. They also hit us with a flashback from episode one, and I really got bored. It's only been one episode. It's not that necessary to give us a flashback from the previous episode, and it's not even like new footage, it's reused footage. So at least the flashback later in the episode highlights another character that is new material and not reused, but still, flashbacks like these just take me out of the action for very little payoff. The direction of the show in general is quite vague and leaves room for interpretation in a good way, to be fair. This whole Blue Moon weed flower hunt is just another montage as well, but I think this one shows us a bit more of the world and also has some cute design work for the girls. In terms of what they're trying to say with this plot, it's probably about companionship that knows no bounds of time, but considering our main character is practically immortal compared to everyone else, uh, she finds ways to put her experiences into her routines and journeys in small ways. And it's cute, but it's not entirely interesting. Both character and narrative wise, it's simple. The episode wraps up with pretty much the same tone of the rest of the episode with a small catharsis for, the specific episode plot they wanted to put in there. But it's cliche. It's clear what the intent of the episode is. It's clear what's going to happen. To me, in a stimulation sense, this is simple entertainment. This show connects with people because it's simple, probably, and because it has some heartfelt emotions into it, it's stuff like that. But personally, it's hard for me to outright tell you that it's amazing when I obviously don't feel that way. So those are my thoughts. And as for like the general idea that I get from even consuming this show, it's not as though it's a bad like project. Obviously, I told you that the production levels are, very competent. You can see in the subtleties of the show, it also just nails a lot of the smaller character beats, but it's not exactly like something compelling that I think that a lot of people are gonna connect to or like remember in a lot of years. Maybe I'm wrong. It could be a classic, could be a cult classic. Um, I don't know if I see this even staying in the top 10 over time. Maybe this is just like a cultural moment for a short period, but obviously, stayed here for a season, so maybe I'm just wrong. I simply don't see it. Ojou to Banken-kun, A Girl and Her Guard Dog, Project 9. 3-minute drop wouldn't be such a big deal that they open you with a prologue, but to add the monologue from the present day main character is just a double whammy. The art style is probably what most people would compliment here, but frankly, the washed out colors and harsh whites hurt my eyes. The animation, even at this initial stage, seems to have lower production quality considering how slideshow some of these cuts are. The characters we got here are simple, but not, they're not interesting design wise, which is, obviously not enough for me to watch a whole season of. So that's that one. Megumi no Daigo, Kyukoku no Orange, Firefighter Daigo, Rescuer in Orange, Brains Base. 5-minute drop. I got far enough to see the entirety of the opening sequence where they save some people. The dramatization in the show is probably my biggest issue aside from the average production quality. The amount of anime-isms that the show employs actually takes away from the severity of the opening sequence, which I had hoped had been a lot more intense considering the subject matter of it. To be fair, there is something to chew on here because of how broad this opening sequence is in terms of the narrative direction by the end of it. I couldn't pin down what direction the show would go in next, but frankly, I wasn't that interested. Obviously. Ragna Crimson, Silver Link. 8-minute drop. The fact of the matter is that really can't stand these random full of themselves bastard characters who get immediately humbled in 2 seconds characters. It's it serves no purpose other than to waste my time and make me get bored. Even worse when our main character has a bland design and just takes verbal abuse like I want to watch this. This episode is slated to be 45 minutes, to which I say, why is this a 45-minute episode? Production wise, it doesn't have a coat of polish on for this lackluster fight animation. And what extra style this show has in terms of bare bones sound effects, it doesn't really do anything in any department I care about. The reality is, as I don't buy this 12-year-old being the world's best dragon hunter, and even more, I don't believe in whatever reasoning they could shatter my world with as to how to explain it. I don't care that much, and the writing to begin with sucked. I don't see I don't see myself in a place where this is going to continue for me. Overtake, Troika. I completed this episode because I actually did like it. Finally, a show this season where characters show real personality and chemistry. The opening sequence to this show is a simple conversation, but it tells you a lot about who people are and their relationships. There is solid pacing getting from one scene to the next, and I appreciated that. They even have this underlying hook to all this warm atmosphere by introducing some past trauma for our main character. That makes the tone swing from happy to sinister in a second. It's good that they have something to keep unsuspecting viewers interested in. And I will be honest, I did cringe a bit at the over the top voice acting in some areas, especially the I'll do my best for you kittens line. That was uncalled for. But production wise, it actually reminds me of a lot from the art direction from Shirobako, even if parties are not really related here. It's the same measured realism and simple polish to that a show like this needs, and I gotta give it to them on the racing animation. It looks solid. Design captures the feeling of watching as a spectator. To top it off, they even have some emotional beats in here that tie the cherry on top. So, in summary, this is not really a racing show, but rather a show about the world of racing, similar to Shirobako. Unfortunately for me, I have no interest in racing, even after this episode being as solid as it is. So, even if I did continue, I don't know if I would. Like see it through all the way. But for fans of racing, I can't imagine this would be a letdown for the quality like in this project. Dekoboko, Majo no Oyako, Jijou. The family circumstances of the irregular witch. A real. 4-minute drop. You guys don't see it, but I soy jacked hearing Kana Hanazawa in the first 10 seconds, only to find out she's just the narrator. But that aside, that seems it seems to be not the kind of show I want to watch. Production wise, it's okay. A couple of still frame pans I wasn't particularly happy about considering the first 5 minutes you should really be putting on your best outfit. But that aside, the slapstick comedy they're going for was pretty flat. Characters are cute, but I'm not seeing much of a reason beyond that. The main pull is like the 16-year-old looks like a MILF but acts like a kid. And the lolly is a 200-year-old. So if they have a cool concept, maybe I could see that, but from what I saw, it's just comedy. Shangri-La Frontier, Kusoge Hunter, Kamige ni Idoman Tusu, Shangri-La Frontier, C2C. 3-minute drop. What's funny is that the initial fake opening to this show had a better hook than the actual cutaway to the real show that immediately meets me with the horrifying reality of an exposition dump about VR gaming. At this point, I'm no longer interested, but hey, at least the production quality wasn't half bad. I'll give them that. But seriously, the concept for this show is kind of silly. Kamonohashi Ron no Kindan Suiri Ron Kamonohashi's Forbidden Ductions. Dio Media. 5 minute drop. So it's Sherlock Holmes if you got bored, and also light comedy. I'll pass. The character designs are generic, the production looks decent, but this concept just sucks. I'm sorry. Miki to Dali, Migi and Dali, Geek Toys and Comp Town. Comp Town? Funny. 8 minute drop. This concept is quite off-putting considering it's essentially just like, what if we adopted Johann Lieber and his twin, but this time it's a brother? And add to that, the show is just unsettling with the music and the character designs, but it's good enough to be creepy maxing. To be honest, though, the dub is just awful, and I don't laugh often at a serious show, but this show had a Steve Jobs line that made me quite literally lol. This show, for what it has, isn't that interesting, though I can see the subject matter of a creepy kid twins, kind of bored at this point. So yeah, it's a bit dated in its concept. MF Ghost, Felix Film. Don't get it confused with MF Doom. 3 minute drop. Okay, now this one I didn't give a fair chance, but truly the writing here is awful and more anime than ever. The main guy has this English accent, sounds like he's asleep at the microphone, and the design work on these characters needs some work as well. Hard pass, no offense, but I'll pass. Well, at least I'm honest. Seiken Gakuin no Makentsukai, the Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy, and you should know that if Academy is in the name, it's going to be very hard to convince me to watch the show. That was, I think, that's our studio passion, yeah. 2 minute drop. Well, first things first, obvious elephant in the room, Academy show. So by metric of me never completing an Academy show, this is already at a disadvantage. Frankly, the show doesn't look that great, but the production value is pretty varied from simply below average to fine. The design work is pretty bland, not really stylized. It looks like any other show really in both visuals and characters. And really, exposition dump plus random name dropping they do at the start is always going to be annoying. Shy. I'm super shy, super shy. Wait a minute. 8-bit. If anything, this show does characters right. The girls are really cute and well done. If that's the draw of the show by design, they did a good job. Our main character is solid considering I like beta main characters, but since her superhero identity is being shy and she's shy, it makes sense. Super shy. The hot and drunk Russian anime girl is ironic too in that way. The content in this show is just okay. Hearing them repeat the word hero 50 times does get annoying, and I am one of the sick animals that watch 4 seasons of My Hero Academia. So concept-wise, we aren't doing anything particularly interesting. Uh, so I guess the question is, are cute girls all that's needed to be invested in this show? No. I'm sure someone will like it for that purpose, but the writing in the first episode gets ridiculous with a random kid she saved playing a role in the narrative. And if that's how they want to tell it, fine. But I find it hard to believe that a random kid is running into a burning building because a random superhero saved him. It's absurd, but at least the tie-in to her character beat in the episode plays out well. There's some nice animation to boot. Frankly, there's not a lot for me to discuss here because there isn't actually a lot to unpack. It's a simple superhero nonsense show. If you like that, then this show might be a nice choice until season 27 of My Hero Academia comes out, but I don't see it panning out. Paradox Live, the animation. Pine Jam. I watched long enough to see this wacky CGI concert with broken English, and I think that's enough for rejection. Visuals in the CGI department aren't especially bad, but it's not even well directed as as a music video alone, and the visual presentation has no cohesion at all. It's just a visual cluster of nothing. Toaru Osan no VR MMO Katsudoki, a playthrough of a certain Jew's VR MMO live. Majo film. 1 minute drop. You know it, I know it. I cannot handle shows that open up with MMORPG video game nonsense exposition. I have no patience for it anymore. Added to that, they're doing the stupid 70mm black bars in film grain. So yeah, didn't even get to the concept, but I don't particularly care. Yeah. Basically, do not do any of what this show did in the first minute if you want me to watch your show. Watashi no Oshi wa Aku Yaku Reijo. I'm in love with the villainous Platinum Vision. 3 minute drop. So it's an isekai into a dating sim set in an academy. God has forsaken us. The characters don't look half bad and the visuals have basic polish, but the concept sucks. Konyaku haki sareta reijo wo hirota orega ikenai koto wo oshie komu. I'm giving the disgraced noble lady I rescued a crash course in naughtiness. Studio Zero G Digital Network Animation. 4 minute drop. The production looks pretty standard for light novel work. So do the characters. In terms of OPN MC, we have one, but that's not always a bad thing. In this case, the comically naughty attitude of this guy isn't particularly engaging. His design doesn't even match his voice actor, so that's also off-putting. If there was a slight fantasy fulfillment in the visual presentation, maybe this could work, but I see no purpose in continuing with a very standard product. Bullbuster. Nut. 7 minute drop. There is some sincerity to its characters and visual presentation, but it's not a show that yells original banger to me out the gate. I stayed long enough to see the concept and the atmosphere, and this mecha show initially starts off stronger than most of the other stuff this season, but lacks the extra push to convince me to stay. Nice try though. Yuzuki-san Chi no Yon Kyodai, the Yuzuki family's four sons. Studio Shuka. 3 minute drop. Character designs look pretty simple, but in a dumb way. Production looks okay, but it's really average Joe stuff. Concept wise, it's not that impressive considering they opened the entire thing up with character portraits and exposition dumping about, oh, my parents died, etc. We have another completed show, ladies and gentlemen. I completed an episode 16-bit Sensation Another Layer by Studio Silver. Seems I wrote quite a bit. They hit the nail pretty hard here with a strong opening sequence and a cute girl MC to work some magic. The production quality just looks okay, but it's a good thing that the premise is grounded and holds some attention with its draw of teaching you about the world of an illustrator in 2023 Bishoujo. Speaking of our MC, there's a lot of fun characterization with her as this openly otaku artist surrounds herself in this world at all times. She pre-orders visual novels, has a bunch of merchandise at home, and it also helps she is a cute anime girl that draws cute anime girls. Getting flashbacks of Ero Manga Sensei in tone here, but no incestual blueballing. The core comedy moment in this show is actually pretty funny because it revolves around our idealist MC wanting to make an awesome action game about cool stuff, but her boss doesn't care and wants to make MILF Hypnosis Salon instead. It's not hilarious, but it's better than what most people got this season. My big issue is that they beat me over the head with the point here. We get it. She likes her girly video games, and she is passionate about her art. I get it, but this takes absolutely forever when I got it the first time. It really kills the pacing, makes our MC seem a lot more annoying than she could have been. It's quite the waste of screen time. Once they do get past this point, though, the intrigue is still there for me. I do want to see her accomplish her goal of doing something special of her own volition, and to do this, the narrative conceit is to transport her to the proclaimed golden age of Bishoujo, 1992, and they wrap the entire episode up nicely with some new characters. And to be honest, the main male character looks like complete garbage. They didn't even try to make him look original, but maybe that's the point. I don't know. It's just off-putting considering how different every other character looks. Even the NPCs look competently drawn and designed, except for our main guy for some reason. Kami Arabi God app, Studio Unend. 20-second drop. I actually suggest watching the first 20 seconds of this to figure out why I dropped it. I won't say anything further except that it's a bunch of nonsense. Alright then. Boshoku no Berserk. Berserk of Gluttony. Studio ACGT. Berserk reference, guys. Seems I wrote a bit here too. Episode 1. The premise of this show is not original at all, but at least it's mildly entertaining. The main character has our basic light novel design, but at least we don't start ridiculously OP. It's more of a everyone in the world is jerks to him, so he's gonna get OP. Uh, at least the pseudo villains of this episode are dislikable and comedically evil. It kept my interest going enough. It's funny that these random characters have better design work than our MC, but who am I to judge? My only complaint is the obvious. The show is unoriginal. The show. The more scenes progress, the more uninteresting everything gets, because what is really the point here in seeing the same thing 50 times? Well, because trashy nonsense is all we have left in our fruitless existence, apparently. Our budget is really low in this show, and we have to do flashbacks from 10 seconds ago as well. Some of this stuff can be excused, but others completely not. It's pretty clear where this show is going. I'm not sure why I want to watch. So this one is nothing to write home about. It's trashy, but fulfilling enough that you could theoretically watch it. Guess what? I won't be watching this show, but you could if you felt like it. Bikuri Men, Studio Less Spirit. 1 minute drop. Our first character looks like Humpty Dumpty, had sex with his uncle Terry. Production looks like poop. Didn't stay long enough to see a concept. Okay. Oh, you already know this one's gonna be amazing. Keiken Zumi na Kimito, Keiken Zero na Origa, Otsukiai Suru Hanashi. Our dating story, the experience you and the experience to me. Studio Engi. 1 minute drop. I don't really get how they expect me to like the show when they open with this awful explanation of why our main girl is the goddamn angel of our universe and from heaven, and then there's our MC that's the introverted nerdy, never had a girlfriend or friends nonsense. This is the worst trope ever. Can we please stop doing this? I hate beta MCs, and we always do the same exact trope. It's not okay. Under Ninja, Tezuka Productions. I remember Giga liked this one. 8 minute drop. The show has some relatively interesting components, most apparently the art direction, which isn't too visually impressive, but it makes the grunge aspect a lot more apparent. There is the stupid 70mm black bars and film grain as well, but at least they try to be cinematic with the shots. And my pet peeve for this is just them using it for one scene and then dropping it for the rest of the episode, and they did exactly that. And why they did it? Because flashback. And that's also one of my favorite things ever. The the dramatic dialogue, or the premise is pretty cool despite the obvious faults here. Ninjas and some dramatic dialogue make it somewhat bearable. I would say that if this show had more of an impressive opening sequence, I would be more interested, but it's not something I'm dying to watch. Atarashi Joshi wa do tenin. My new boss is Goofy. A1 Pictures. 2 minute drop. This show is a bit too dramatic for how unserious the subject matter is. The voice actor in general is giving his all for no real reason because the stakes are so incredibly low that his exaggerations are just making it seem more stupid. Our characters are simple business people, but again, nothing too interesting design wise for that. Production value is substandard, but it's palatable. No entertainment value to be found though. Hametsu no Okoku, The Kingdoms of Ruin, Yokohama Animation Lab. 8 minute drop. At the least, the setting is probably the most interesting part of the show. It's a neo fantasy. There's skyscrapers along with a kingdom setting, and humans have advanced technology to fight the magicians. It sounds cool, but obviously we have a cluster of differing things to take into account. My brain is exploding from the rest of these shows, so eh, some of the character designs are fine. Our main guy's design is still pretty boring. I mean, I already know where the show is going, and I don't really care. So, you know. Hikiko Mari, get it? It's like a alternate way to say it. Kyoketsuki no Monmon, The Vexations of a Shut-in Vampire Princess. Official English site. Is that? No, wait, no. Project number 9, my bad. 6 minute drop. I mean, the girl is cute and all, but the production value isn't doing them any favors here. Also, they open with this boring monologue that immediately puts me on autopilot. And then they segue straight into an exposition dump about vampire lords, and boom, I'm done. I'm sure someone who's really into vampire girls might find this an easy hurdle, but I've got no patience. Undead Unluck, David Production. 4 minute drop, the most melodramatic nonsense yet this season. I've seen a lot of these shows, but this one surprises me at how badly it opens with piss poor metaphors and sappy music, and then it turns out to be a real gut punch misdirect with absolutely stupid, ridiculous punchlines. Now that I've seen my favorite manga to the end, it's about time I end myself. That's a real quote. Cut to MC about to jump off a bridge. Like, come on, dude. Are we serious right now? That sucks so much. And to top it off, they try to imitate Shaft's style with the short cuts of randomness. It doesn't work at all. This is a mess. I don't even care about the characters, and the production only looks decent. This is one of the stupidest openings all season. Bokura no Ame Iro Protocol, Protocol Rain, Studio Quad. 2 minute drop. Despite having some heavy hitters in the voice acting department, they open with the most boring sequence ever that won't get anyone interested in their show because their video game segment looks like Sega Genesis graphics. Even after we cut to real animation, it still looks like butt, and our MC is basic, boring guy. Kimi no Koto got Dai Suki na 100 nin no kanajo, the 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you. Biebery Animation Studios. 7 minute drop. This is some life sucking stuff here. Aside from the obvious conceit of the show, which is just the dude who gets none now has a lot of females, and now it's just kind of cringe and might be for 15-year-old boys. The comedic bits are not even ironically funny and make me want to tear my eyes out. I stayed long enough to see the first interaction played out, and yeah, I've had enough. The Idol Master Million Live, Shirogumi. 3 minute drop. The 3D animation isn't that bad, but it certainly is quite jarring when the actual material of the show doesn't need any 3D environments to tell its story. Ergo, it seems like a waste. Our MC for this Idolmaster journey is also pretty bland. It reminds me of the childhood best friend girl. It's not terrible, but you wouldn't get me to watch this show all the way through. Buta no liver wa kanetsu shiro. Buta Reba, the story of a man who turned into a pig. Project number 9. 1 minute drop. A show like this seems like a fun idea, but I can't with this absolutely idiotic dialogue dumping in the first second of the goddamn show. Come on. It sounds like ChatGPT wrote this on on what it feels like to be a pig. Stop it. Oops. Tear Moon Teikoku Monogatari Don Todai Kara Hajimaru Hime no Tensei Gyakuten Story Tear Moon Empire Studio Silverlink. 3 minute drop. There's something mildly funny about a cute anime girl being put in a guillotine about to die in front of other anime characters that look nothing like the time period, but yeah, there's nothing here that I'm particularly here for. Kikansha no Maho wa Tokubetsu desu. A returner's magic should be special. Arvo animation. 1 minute drop. There's not a lot to like in the first minute here. CGI dragon for huge spectacle shot looks like poop. Characters have some design work, but they don't really look stylized for the entertainment purposes. Then, of course, they undercut what would be an action sequence with expository dialogue world dump. Potion Denomi de Iken no Bimasu. I shall survive using potions. Jumondo. 2 minute drop. I don't care to stay in long enough for the isekai part because the character designs are really bland and lifeless. They just hit you with a lot of worthless dialogue to boot. I'm good. Kawagoe Boys Sing, Now or Never, Studio EVG. 2 minute drop. At least the characters are differentiable, but frankly, I have no interest in a boys' choir concept. Hoshi Kuzu Telepath, Stardust Telepath, Studio Gokumi. 5 minute drop. I like it. It's got the right amount of cuteness and sincerity that a show needs, but the writing is just a tad dramatic and it ruins some of the authenticity to the overall tone of the show. I think our MC's character design isn't that strong either. I'm sure someone will appreciate this show nonetheless, but there's not enough to chew on here for me. Kusuria no Hitori Goto, The Apothecary Diaries, Studio OLM, Toho Animation Studio. I completed the first episode. I appreciated the change in pace here from our usual stuff, with our main character being quite nonchalant, despite how peculiar her situation really is. The show presents kidnapping in the most casual way possible, and it somehow doesn't offend me as a viewer. I'm more interested in what's going on everywhere, and the setting offers some thoughts into why they chose China, but it works even with the Japanese voices. The main conceit revolves around a giant like sex prison that the emperor uses to make heirs, and the women is or the MC is just a kidnapped female worker, pretty much forced to be there. It's a weird concept, but it's engaging in a sort of interest in seeing this inner workings of history type thing. Not really our main character. Uh, I see that as a big issue. Their solution is to make MC sort of a sleuth in this plot, so my guess is that she does this every episode and we will learn about Chinese stuff. Might be interesting. Our MC is at least likable. Not sure if it's 24 episodes worth of content though. And our final show of fall 2023 is Dog Signal by Studio Fugaku. 3-minute drop. It's just a dog show, I guess. I don't like the MC's design, and the idea of me watching an episode of this wouldn't make sense. So, yeah. So, that's fall 2023. As for what I'll recommend for this season, uh, I mean, I probably liked this. I probably liked the Apothecary Diaries show. That was okay. I'll recommend that. I'm not recommending the Berserk show. I'll like slightly recommend 16-bit Sensation and Overtake for racing fans, and I'll slightly recommend Frieren. That's pretty much what I have to say about fall 2023. And now we move on to winter 2024. Wow. Let me take a drink of water before I do this. So here we go. Ishura. Ishura. Studio Passion. 2-minute drop. Background art looks competent enough, but these characters look like garbage compared to the rest of the world. It looks like a Babylon of sorts, Academy show, exposition dump, bad CGI with 2D mixes. So that's why. Dungeon Meshi, delicious in dungeon. Studio Trigger. Been a while. 8-minute drop. I got pretty annoyed at how much they spout the whole fantasy roleplay nonsense, talking about party members, cost money, food ecosystems, but it looks as though this is like the point of the show. The production elements are okay. It's not like there's a lot of crazy set pieces here, and our MC is kind of a dunderhead, and his design is pretty uninteresting. The rest of the cast is pretty boring as well. At a first glance, this seems like a pretty milquetoast project from Trigger, but I'm not going to fully judge it based on just this, but I'm not planning on watching anymore. Mato Seihei no Slave Chain Soldier Studio 7 Arcs. It's an ecchi show, but I didn't like it. 6-minute drop. Film grain plus fake 70mm black bars. Great start. Transitioned into a completely irrelevant footage for 10 seconds, then to the OP. Our MC's design is garbage, but at least the main female looks okay. Nothing too out there. The production elements are below average. Pretty basic stuff. As for the concept, they really went to make it as convoluted as possible because, first, it's a world where women are the big dogs on the block and have superpowers and are called peaches, while men are nobodies. So right away, I'm feeling that our author here might be autistic. Then our MC gets transported into a fake alternate universe where there are monsters, and they hit us with a cliche: girl saves guy from monsters, yada yada. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's boring. Sokushi Chika Saikyo Sugite Isekai no Yatsura ga Marude Aite ni Naranai Desu. My instant death ability is so overpowered. No one in this other world stands a chance against me. Studio Okurudo Noboru. This title is awful. 5-minute drop. I mean, come on. Did anyone really expect anything from this this project? This is a boring ass title. Our main character's design is every light novel protagonist ever, but he has too little blue like streaks of hair, and the production looks average. Concept is a piece of garbage, and I obviously don't care. Cho Futsu Kenchiba Densetsu Studio Normal Super Normal Studio. Watched a whole episode and I really couldn't tell you about the concept really. It's just about Chiba Prefecture really. The production value is such a waste of time that you might as well shouldn't even make the show. It's just slideshows. There's no real like animation element to it. Nothing to be had here for normal viewers. It's just 4 minute shorts. I doubt anybody's watching this. Sasaki to Peachan, Sasaki and Peeps, Studio Silverlink. 4 minute drop, nothing particular even happens. For what I saw, it's just office work stuff, nothing too particularly outrageous. Our main MC isn't exactly the best narrator, it's quite boring. Production level looks okay, designs whatever, no entertainment value. Kekon Yubiwa Monogatari, Tales of Wedding Rings, Staple Entertainment. 7 minute drop. I don't like the concept and how long it takes for stuff to happen. Girl comes from another universe, guy is now her friend, but they live together. And he's into her trope of childhood promise to blah blah blah. He wants to marry her. Character design wise, it's nothing going on. Production wise, it's bright and average. Entertainment wise, nothing happens. Yubisaki to Ren Ren. A sign of affection. Aijado. A lot of people like this show, apparently. 5 minute drop. Heavily dramatic, but I mean, it's not like it can't be like that. It doesn't help, though, considering how fast it moves past its monologue. So basically, the show is just an adult character oriented, a silent voice, but with worse designs, production value, and concept. A lot of people connect with this, but I can't particularly say it's for any of the things I care about in a show. I genuinely don't understand like what's going on in this show that makes people be like really attached to it, but I only saw 5 minutes, so who am I? Momochi-san Chi no Ayakashi Oji, The Demon Prince of Momochi House, Studio Drive. 5 minute drop. This concept sucks. Orphan girl introduces three slender twink boys who take her house because it's a haunted house, blah blah blah. Male characters are the most tropey and bored designs out of everything I've seen already this season. The production aside is just below average, nothing special. Skip. Can you can you tell I'm getting really tired doing this? Momochi-san. Oh wait, I just did this, didn't I? Chiu Maho no Machigata Sukai Kata, the wrong way to use healing magic. Shin A animation. Studio ad. A 4 minute drop. So yeah, he's in school and he jerks off the popular kids' egos because why not? I didn't bother staying long enough to find out what the magic part of the show even is because I kind of don't care. Character designs, nope. Production, nope. Pawn no Michi, The Way of Pawn, Studio OLM. 2 minute drop. I can't stand this show's ear bleeding music. It's the sole reason I'm dropping it. It sucks massive poop. Characters look boring, production eh. Saikyo Tank no Meikyu Kyoraku Tyro 9999 No Rare Skill Mochi Tank Yusha Party Wo Sioho Sareru, the strongest tanks, Labyrinth Raids, a tank with rare 9999 resistance still got kicked from the hero's party. Studio Pawn. 4 minute drop. This writing is such a piece of work, man. It's hard to get interested when it just cannot help itself from doing the bare minimum and not catering to anyone. RPG lingo, boring character designs. Concept is fired from party, now he's the protagonist. No, thank you. Oridake level up Naken. This is popular. Solo leveling. I don't know why it's popular, but you know, I'm an idiot. 4 minute drop. So what's the fantasy element of this show? They didn't do everything wrong here, but it certainly isn't impressive. The show opens up with a flashback, great start, then action sequence with NPCs and some other bozos. The animation for the most part is A1 pictures, so it's not like going to be substandard every way, but it's nothing too special. Then they segue into exposition dump, and then they it's just nothing done right to get me interested. They did nothing right. Isekai de mofu mofu nade nade suru dame ni ganbate matsu fluffy paradise EMT squared. 6 minute drop. At least this is the first show of the season to have nice characters for once. They aren't that impressive, but they are average at least. The concept, however, isn't that intriguing as an isekai concept. She is just an animal girl, and that's it. I don't see this panning out. Loop 7 Kaime no Akuyaku Reisho wa Moto te Kikoku de Jiu Kami Mama na Hanayome Sekatsu wo Mankitsu Suru. Seventh time loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy, Studio Kai and Hornets. 8 minute drop. I'll give them the benefit of recognizing that their first action sequence wasn't bad. It was actually nicely done if we got rid of some of the yapping from our main character. It was dark and dramatic. As for the general concept of the show, it's about this girl unable to die and respawning at a certain point after death. So basically a ReZero type show, but medieval fantasy plus female protagonist. Is it interesting? Not particularly, as instead of just continuing where we left off before the OP, we go straight into flashback land and recount her previous life, not the one we literally just saw. I get it. Some people think we need context as this stuff to just show why things are the way they are, but I don't think I care what happens in flashback land. I just don't. I'd much rather see what is the result of 7 deaths in one person. Nozu Manu Fushi no Boukensha, The Unwanted Undead Adventurer, Studio Connect. 4 minute drop. I was instantly bored the second he started exposition dumping about how poor people have to wake up and rich people can wake up at noon. Production value's okay, characters look meh. Dosanko Gals Galwa Namara Menkoi Hokkaido gals are super adorable. Studio Silverlink and Blade. Like the new Blade game coming out, guys. Blade. 7 minute drop. The dub for this is absolutely earth shattering. They actually could not have found a more twink voice actor for our main character, and it's just awful. Our main girl, for some reason, has a Nordic accent, which is strange, which I think is to show that she has a Hokkaido accent, but it doesn't make any sense. I don't know if Hokkaido even has an accent. Either way, she doesn't do a great job either, especially in these quote unquote comedy scenes, that they both just like poop in their beds, and it's probably some of the most unfunny garbage ever. Concept wise, our main character is a beta, has never talked to a woman, so every interaction and thought in his mind is pure poison to my eyeballs and ears. His design is worthless, but even more apparent is how utterly stupid the main girl's design is as well, and they even comment on how stupid it is in the show, but it's not even satirical how stupid it is. It's the goddamn snowy blizzard all over it again, and we have this chick wearing a skirt with no leggings and just a scarf for warmth in the snowy blizzard. What is going on? Like, look at that. It's snowing. We're in the snowy blizzard. Hime-sama Goman. No Jikon Desu. It's time for Torture Princess. Studio Pine Jam. 5 minute drop. Yeah, I don't think this one is something I care about. The designs are okay, production's okay. Concept is just that demons don't understand what torture is, I guess. So they just give the human their torturing delicious food, and that's the show. It's similar in vein to every show of this nature. Think Sleepy Princess. I'm good. Oroka Natenshi wa Akuman to Odoru. The foolish angel dances with the devil. Children's playground entertainment. So their acronym is CP Entertainment. That is ridiculous. 20-second drop. No, just no. All right. Akuyaku Reijo, level 99, Watashi wa Urabas Desu ga Mao Dewa Arimasen. Villainous level 99, maybe the hidden boss, but I'm not the demon lord. Studio Jumondo, and you can see a school in the background, aka an academy in the background. Do I even need to say more? 5 minute drop academy show, like, come on. Do I need to say more? Gekai Elise, Dr. Elise, the royal lady with the lamp, Majo film. 6 minute drop. This one's a dud. Doctor then, concept is Doctor dies, then is Doctor again in another life. Designs look meh, production's okay. Concept is just really boring. First non-drop of the season, I guess. Sengoku Yoko, White Fox. First show of the season I actually completed an episode of. It's competent in most areas I like. Characters are simple. Concept makes up for the fact that they're pretty bland. Our Fox girl looks like a Senko ripoff, but it's not that big of a deal. Production wise, there's genuinely impressive moments, but most of it is average, which is okay. Some of the background art is beautiful, but only a couple of shots. I think for the first episode, they pack a lot into this. There are a lot of scene changes, concepts being introduced, and stuff to look forward to in the next episode. Be as it may, I don't particularly believe I attach to the show for anything really. One being that this kind of rings as a simple story with simple themes, but not at a high level of polish. Like, you need that polish if you're going for something simple, or at least something more interesting. If you're looking for a concept of Ronin travels with spirits to find identity and help humanity plotline, this is a simple pick. If you were just gonna give a chance to something this season, this is probably one of the contenders. So, yeah. Gekkan Moso Kagaku Delusional Monthly Magazine OLL Team Yoshioka. 5 minute drop. I don't think it's funny, guys. The character designs are pretty laughable. So that's a quip, but I didn't stay long enough for a concept. It looks it's just gonna be about like a group of people publishing stuff about supernatural stuff. And the two guys are like low-key gay or something. That's like a subplot. I don't know. Yuki Bakuhatsu Bang Bravern. Bang Brave Bang Bravern. Side Games Pictures. 2 minute drop. Military focused mecha show. Not into mecha, but even if I was, I need to finish those Pat Labor OVAs, and the production doesn't look that bad. It looks competently made. Just not interested. 30 Sai made Dote Dato Maho Tsukai Ninareru Rashi. Cherry Magic. 30 years of virginity can make you a wizard? Studio Satellite. 6 minute drop. This is pretty blatantly offensive. It's about a 30-year-old man who gains magic telepathic powers from virginity, but then he discovers his homosexual senpai at work likes him incredibly so, and to that end, they present it in the most offensive and insincere way. I would even consider what the dialogue is to be some form of sexual harassment in the workplace. It's gross. And in terms of homosexual romance, I would stay away from this because it's just blatantly offensive. Like character designs are basic, production levels below average. There's nothing here for you. There's nothing here. Metallic Rouge, Studio Bones, taking a break from what they're doing, I guess. It's an original project, so 10-minute drop. This is the first show that actually cares about its design and design work this season, but to that end, it doesn't do a lot right. Character-wise, people look and feel distinct, so that's good, but I don't think our main character necessarily holds a weight to them. On the production side of things, it's Bones, so we're not going to see some subpar work, but in this show, it doesn't have this futuristic sci-fi environment mapped out completely or nailed. Psychopaths and Ghost in the Shell come to mind. It's in terms of what's offered narratively, there's a middling mystery slash effects of technological advancement plot going on, but it's not really that compelling. And 10 minutes really doesn't sell you on any part of the show of this or part of this project, even with a small action sequence and some character beats. Nothing is quite the hook that sinks you in as a viewer. I don't feel let down because I had no expectations going into this, but at the very least, Bones making an original project is a good thing for their brand, but it doesn't do anything I care about. Majo to Yaju, The Witch and the Beast, Yokohama Animation Lab. 8 minute drop. In terms of production quality and character designs, they're above average. I like the characters more than the world. The concept is just not that much of a pull. I believe the main draw of this comes from a want to see interesting exchanges of the supernatural, but honestly, I'm getting feelings of Hellsing from this series. A lot of talking, minimal action sequences, also two separate exposition dumps in one episode is a big no-no. If they plan to do that every episode, count me out. I don't have the patience. Saijaku Tamer wa Gomi Hiroi no Tabi wo Hajimemashita. Weakest Tamer began in a journey to pick up trash. Studio Masket. 15-minute drop. The show isn't half bad. It has some elements that I like. The fact that this show is a one woman performance is impressive. She carries it on her back and establishes this little lolly character as a pretty endearing and individualistic person for her age. Concept wise, it's not really clear what's going on until this 15-minute mark, and then I lost a lot of interest in this whole Beast Tamer aspect because I'm more interested in Fugitive Gone Rogue that's also a little kid. It is heartfelt though. If not for some average production value and okay character design work, maybe I would watch more, but it's really a tough ask. Meito Isekai no Yu Kaitsukuki around 40 Onsen Mania no Tensei Saki no Non-Biri Onsen Tengoku Deshita Isekai Onsen Paradise Wolfsbane Bloom Z. Saw the episode and there's not much going on. It's not funny, it's not erotic, even though there's boobies, it's just purposeless content. I'm not here for it, but someone is. I did watch the episode, so I will mark that as one episode, just for the fans. Buchi Giri, Studio Mappa. Actually quite entertaining, even if you don't really see a plot here. Everyone has good character designs and is followed through in its setting as well. Delinquent ruled society, it seems. There's a nice variety of scenes and changes for the pace of the episode that keeps things fresh and some side events that are funny. The concept here is what's most elusive, but I don't particularly mind how long it takes to get to the idea. Genie plus dude who wants to lose virginity, backed with fun setting. It's pretty good for what it is. I have respect for what we have here, and the voice actors do a good job as well. I would recommend this show. I don't know if I'm continuing it because the supporting cast is kind of weak, but eh, I liked it. Snack Busue, Studio Puyakai. Nothing special, nothing wrong with a smaller production, but this one doesn't fully have a strong concept for me. A bar with some oddballs and some wacky characters isn't enough for me unless it's either funny or they're doing something completely outrageous. Think Pop Team Epic. Even then, Pop Team Epic couldn't make a show out of just this concept, much less fill 20 minutes of content of just this. Production level is simpler. Animation and characters are at least designed. But aside from that, eh. And I think the last show we have is Meiji Gekken 1874 Smugi Akita Animation Lab. 15-minute drop. This one is a real disappointment because I actually was interested in where this plot was going and how grounded it was. But I immediately lost all interest when a fat guy jumped 1,000 feet in the air and a magic hallucinogen incense was introduced. The show had intrigue and, you know, it being Meiji oriented. I'm no Japanese history buff, but seeing new order establishment stories are fun, especially when done well. This show had solid character design work, solid production value. I have no clue why they decided to go in a silly direction, but the answer is anime, so, because they can, fair, but, it's kind of disappointing. It is an original project. So that's it for winter 2024. I would slightly recommend Bujigiri. I would slightly recommend Sengoku Yoko, but no like hard recommends this season. This season has been pretty lackluster. So to wrap it up in total for both seasons, I think fall 2023 is probably the more competent season. But that isn't to say that like either season was generally like such a standout for me. I mean, fall 2023 had a lot of shows that passed screening. That is true, but none of them really panned out in the way that I think really forces me to watch more episodes. So let's recap. Slight recommend on 16-bit Sensation. No recommend on Boshoku. No Berserk. Probably dropping that one. Slight recommend Bujigiri. Um, Slight recommend on the Apothecary Show. Slight recommend for Overtake. Probably a full recommendation if you like racing or want to learn about the world of racing. Sengoku Yoko, slight recommend. Frieren, slight recommend. So yeah, that's essentially what I have to say. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.